Armed with signs, slogans, and suspicion for authority, mothers, fathers, students, seniors, and all who wanted change packed into Warsaw's Platz de Filad on March 5th. They flowed around each other in search of their ideal spot, like cells in the bloodstream of this collective entity calling itself the demonstration against government oppression. From trucks weighted down by loudspeakers and brightly colored banners, micro and megaphone-wielding spokeswomen led the crowd in chants, crying out, Solidarność, naszą bronią, and Nasze prawa, wspólna sprawa. They reminded participants and onlookers of the reason they had gathered. Serpentining through the crowd, one gets a sample of the diverse array of agendas united against the status quo. Capitalism doesn't work, there are other systems. Feminists against racism. I'll clean up the patriarchy. After a half hour of chants, pep talks, and adrenaline-inducing beats blaring over the loudspeakers, the march around the city began. The crowd strode with a pace excited by the anticipation of self-expressive resistance. Drumlines belted out sharp snare rhythms to which costumed revelers pranced. The trucks, which advanced steadily through the streets, emitted distorted music and galvanizing speeches. A small group, around 20 strong, picketed along the march's route. They brandished banners graphically depicting the bloody, carnal aftermath from an abortion. A militia of uniformed policemen separated them from the rest of the crowd, which calmly passed by. There was a curious dissociation, as of two hobbyists afraid to admit to each other their shared interest. Individuals cheered and chanted with passion, though many checked their volume lest their voice rise discernibly above the din. Their eyes self-consciously avoided those of other protesters, perhaps unaccustomed to being surrounded by like-minded allies. Poland is already one of the European Union's most conservative countries when it comes to reproductive rights, due to the influence of the church in politics. Last year, Poland's government proposed a stricter abortion law, which would have jailed doctors and women who performed the operation. Due to the countryside protests known as Czarny Protest, the bill was rejected. The battle over abortion dates back to 1993, when the current law was established. It dictates that abortion is allowed only if the pregnancy threatens the mother's health, there is a high probability of a birth defect, or there are reasons to suspect the pregnancy was the result of an unlawful act. On paper, the law is clear. In practice, restrictive attitudes by judges, as well as doctors, have made it challenging to get the procedure approved, even for women who have been victims of rape. This has either sent many women abroad, or pushed them to perform abortions illegally. In 2015, around 1,000 legal abortions were recorded in Poland. In comparison, the amount of illegal abortions that same year was estimated to be between 10 and 150,000. The protesters joined forces again 3 days later, on March 8th, International Women's Day. 5,000 voices shook the square with the weight of their discontent. Horns, whistles, and the ear-piercing metallic banging of pots and pans added to the masses' palpable irritation. Thousands brandished red squares of paper, waving them in objection to the tightening anti-abortion laws, fading familial care, and diminishing access to contraception. A squad of anti-abortion demonstrators made an appearance, again separated from the flood by a dam of crowd-control guards. They stood to the back, their message drowned out by the noise. The crowd had assembled in Constitution Square, which overflowed even as latecomers continued pushing their way forward. It was a show of solidarity and collective anger against a government which they claimed was infringing upon women's status as equal citizens. They called for access to modern birth control techniques, sexual education in schools based on medical knowledge, not church teachings, equality in the workplace including equal pay, as well as a boycott of companies which relied on sexist advertising. The demonstration climaxed at 6 p.m. Mustering the remainder of their energy, the crowd churned out an explosive bellow. They made sure their frustration was heard.